Good evening, everyone. Let me introduce myself. I am Erica Prehabitas, and today our topic is all about Philippine tariff system. So for my topic, it's all about pre-Spanish period. So during the pre-Spanish period in the Philippines, there was no formal tariff system as we understand it today, but instead a system of tribute collection where local rulers known as datus or rahas levy taxes on goods and services in the form of buwis or handog from their subjects within their barangays, essentially acting as a form of barter-based trade regulation in exchange for protection and governance. Long before the history of the Philippines by Magellan, the Asian Filipinos were already trading with China, Japan, Siam, Thailand, Cambodia, India, Burma, Sumatra, Java, and other neighboring islands. So, sa una, the Philippine tariff system refers to how taxes contributes on goods and trade were located in the country. However, during the pre-Spanish period, there was no formal tariff system. So wala pa gyud siya kanang legal base. Ang ilaha lang sa una is mag-barter base. So as we all know, mag-barter man gani. For example, ako ay isa ka product, makig-barter ko og kanang saging, kintay akong pinya makig-barter kog saging. So, sa una, instead of structured taxes, early Filipinos practice a tribute-based system. So, local leaders known as datus or rahas mag-collect sila sa ilang people og buwis. So, sa una pa lang yun na panahon na ginang gitawag nga tax or buwis. Then, kanang ang ilahang goods or services kanang mo na ing ilahang i-barter. So nag-start na mag-trade og goods sa China, Japan, Thailand, kanang mga na-mention ng mga country. So historical records including a Spanish document from 1586 described Filipinos as skilled and active traders. They exchanged local products like food, gold, and crafts for foreign goods for other regions. So overall, the pre-Spanish system was informal and community-based and centered on mutual exchange rather than on a strict governance. Okay, thank you. So an interesting Spanish document paday of 1586 narrated that they are keen traders and have traded with China for many years, and before the advent of the Spaniards, they sailed to Molucco, Malacca, Hazian, probably Anchen, Sumatra, Parani, Brunei, and kingdoms. The customary way of trading with other peoples was by barter, in which the Filipinos offered their home products in exchange for the products of other countries.
My name is Wendell Teonyo, and this report is Spanish period. This is what I am assigned. So this shows that the Spain controlled the Philippine economy during its colonial rule. Under the Regalian Doctrine, all resources and trade in the Philippines were owned and controlled by the Spanish government. This meant Filipinos had a little freedom to trade on their own. Spain also created a system of high tariffs, which are taxes on imported goods. Because of these high taxes, products coming from other countries became very expensive. So the the next paragraph explains that to manage these systems, Spain used organizations like the real Compañía de Filipinas, which regulated trade and ensured that profits went to the Spanish crown. The purpose of this tariff was to protect Spanish businesses and make money for Spain. However, this system also had negative effects. It limited competition, made goods costly for people in the Philippines, and slowed down the development of local industries and the economy. So the next report will be uh, Carl.
Good evening, everyone. I am Carl Adrian Minardo, and I will report the continuation about Spanish period. So, the Spanish authorities also established monopolies on key products such as tobacco and abaca or hemp, requiring producers to sell their goods exclusively to the government at fixed prices. This system allowed the Spanish government to control the production and distribution of these commodities, further enriching the colonial administration. So, the Philippine tariff system under Spanish rule was designed to benefit Spain at the expense of the local population, restricting trade and economic development in the colony. It was only with the end of Spanish rule in 1898 that the Philippines was able to pursue more liberal trade policies and develop a more open and competitive economy. So during the Spanish regime, the Spaniards controlled important products sama sa tabako ug abaka through a monopoly system. Ang resulta ani, ang mga Filipino farmers kinapugos og baligya sila mga produkto sa Spanish government at fixed prices bisan if mas higher unta ang value sa market. And another thing is the co-profit ang Spanish authorities while many local producers struggled and earned less from their hard work. Furthermore, the tariff and trade system during Spanish rule was mainly designed to benefit Spain instead of the Filipinos. Another example na is katong polo is serbisyo nga dapat na ay kailangang bayaran nga specific tax or taripa ang usa ka tao para ma-exempt sila og mga mga buhaton sa kuan like personal mga farming ana. So trade was highly controlled and local businesses had limited freedom to grow or compete with foreign markets. This slowed down the economic development of the Philippines because most wealth and resources were directed toward the colonial government. It was only after Spanish rule ended in 1898 nga ang Philippines slowly gained the opportunity to create more open trade policies and improve its own economy. Next reporter, please.
Good day, everyone. I am Mika Cadanas. I will discuss the Philippine tariff system during the American occupation. After Spain lost control of the Philippines in 1898, the U.S. took over and began restructuring the country's economic policies, including tariffs and trade. The U.S. Congress passed laws that create preferential trade relations between the Philippines and the United States. This means that goods given sa U.S. could enter the Philippines with lower tariffs or fewer restrictions. And Filipinos product could also enter the US market more easily. However, kini nga set up ang mainly maka-benefit kay ang American businesses and interests. At first, the American military government ilang gi-continue gamit ang or use ang old Spanish tariff code. But this changed when the Philippine Commission introduced new laws. Then, one important law was the Tariff Revision Law of 1901, which update how tariffs were collected and managed in the country. Another change happened on October 24, 1900s, when Act Number 33 was passed. This law reorganized the customs system by replacing the position of the captain of the port with a collector of custom in most ports, improving the administration of trade and tariff collection. Overall, during the American period, the tariff system became more formalized and structured, but it was still designed to serve U.S. economic interests, shaping the Philippines into a trading partner dependent on American markets. Thank you. Next reporter, please.
Uh, Good day, everyone. I'm Andy Joseph Coronel. Tariff Act number 902. This law exempted all imports from the U.S. Pineal Rates Tariff. This law allowed Philippine products to enter the U.S. market for free while exempting U.S. products from tariff in the Philippines. This policy allowed Philippine products to enter the United States market duty free, while at the same time continuing to exempt American products from tariff in the Philippines. This created a system of mutual free trade that largely favored American industries. Underwood Simmons Tariff Act. This law established preferential tariff for trade between the US and the Philippines, lifting all of the original restriction imposed on Philippine export, except the limit of 20% on the content of non-Philippine or non-American materials used in manufactured goods for export. This law established preferential tariff between the two countries. It lifts most restriction on Philippine exports through it keep it limit requiring that no more than 20% of the material used in exported goods could be non-Philippine or non-American origin. Thank you.